Okay, let's jump right into this explainer. If you're watching this, chances are you already know the deeply, well, exhausting reality of living with constant, unavoidable hyper-awareness. You know exactly what it's like to walk into a room and instantly feel the emotional weight of everyone in it. Like you're calculating the mood before you even take your coat off. Today we're going to unpack exactly why your brain does this, how it started, and most importantly, how you can finally find some rest.
Usually, people describe awareness as this incredible gift, right? Like a warm, gentle glow that helps you navigate through the dark. But for you, it probably feels a lot more like a bright ceiling light that literally never turns off. Your awareness illuminates absolutely everything. There are no curtains to block it out. Every pause in a conversation, every tiny shift in someone's tone, every little fracture beneath the surface, it's just floodlit.
And in your day-to-day life, that ceiling light exposes everything. You don't just see things, you feel them. You catch that half second where a smile fades on a friend's face. You can actually feel the tension in a text message before you've even opened it. You're constantly monitoring the emotional weather of the room, basically acting as the unofficial meteorologist for everyone else's moods. Listen, if these daily triggers sound familiar, I just want you to know you're deeply understood and you are entirely seen here.
So moving into section 1, the reframe, because it's really not just overthinking. You see, from the outside, the world praises this hyper-awareness. They call it emotional intelligence or empathy or being super observant. But internally, it is profoundly draining. This constant analysis isn't some superpower you can just toggle on and off. It's a really heavy load. You're not overthinking because you want to. You're overthinking because your nervous system honestly doesn't know how to stop looking. Approaching this as a trauma recovery mentor, we really need to recognize that this isn't a character flaw. Not at all. It's a form of wakefulness that simply never learned how to rest. Your system is just doing exactly what it was trained to do to keep you safe.
When you're hyper-aware, you end up trading presence for precision. You stop actually experiencing moments and start monitoring them instead. Experiencing is just being inside your life, but monitoring? Well, it's like living with a second screen constantly open in your mind. One part of you is talking, sure, while the other is observing, calculating, adjusting. The tragic result is that the equation replaces the experience itself, and you just miss out on simply being inside your own life.
Okay, let's dive into section 2, the neuroscience of overnoticing.
To really understand this without any self-blame, we need to take an objective look at the biological mechanics behind why your mind can't just power down. It basically comes down to two specific neurobiological functions running in overdrive. The first is metacognition. That's the ability to think about your own thinking. For you, this brain function gets totally stuck in high gear. You don't just feel an emotion, you simultaneously step outside of it to evaluate it, analyze it, wonder how long it's going to last. And this is the exact point where healthy self-awareness slowly mutates into exhausting self-interruption.
Right alongside that, we have interoception, which is your ability to sense internal physical states. Because your interoception is dialed up to the absolute max, your body treats passing, totally normal sensations as urgent, critical information. A simple flutter in your stomach, or maybe a slight change in your breathing, boom, it's instantly converted by your brain into a blaring physiological warning signal.
When we map these internal processes to their external results, the whole picture becomes incredibly clear. Your cognitive empathy literally forces you to absorb the emotions of others right into your own chest. You don't just notice tension, you physically contain it. You end up providing emotional regulation for the whole room, carrying the weight of multiple nervous systems all at once. I mean, no wonder you feel so tired by the end of the day, right?
Which brings us to section 3, the origin story, specifically childhood vigilance.
This intense, exhausting hyper-awareness, it didn't just appear out of nowhere. It has an origin story, and understanding it is absolutely crucial to unlocking your rest. We've got to reclassify this from a personality trait to a survival adaptation. If you grew up in an environment where safety depended entirely on reading subtle cues, like, say, anticipating a parent's mood shift before a single word was even spoken, that childhood adaptation created the hyper-awareness you carry today. It wasn't optional, it was strictly how you navigated a really unpredictable world.
Let's trace this timeline together. In childhood, you learn to scan rooms to predict emotional shifts and basically just stay safe. Then, during the adaptation phase, your prefrontal cortex became an absolute expert at predicting, and your body was trained to stay permanently alert. Now in adulthood, you're operating as if danger's present, even when you're sitting in a completely safe environment. You are exhausted because your core identity was forged in vigilance. Your system never learned it's allowed to rest.
Let's look at section 4, the trap of constant simulation.
So that lifelong adaptation eventually morphs into a frantic strategy for control in your current everyday life. The mind of a hyper-aware person is constantly running simulations. You're always trying to anticipate emotional shifts to avoid being caught off guard. But here's the catch. Trying to outthink uncertainty actually paralyzes you. You become so focused on predicting the future that you step slightly outside of your own life, trapped in severe analysis paralysis, just to protect yourself from a surprise that honestly may never even come.
Now, what's really interesting here in Section 5 is practicing selective perception. The cure isn't seeing less, it's carrying less. And this begins with 3 really simple morning routines to ground your nervous system before the day even starts. First, try just 5 minutes of tech-free quiet. Second, set a gentle daily intention instead of a frantic to-do list. And third, drink a glass of water while focusing solely on its physical temperature. Sounds simple, but it's a real game changer.
To build on that, let's walk through 3 gentle truths you absolutely must teach your nervous system. Number 1, not every silence is a hidden message. Sometimes people are just tired. Practice identifying this non-emergency silence. Number 2, not every feeling requires an action. You can use deep, focused breathing for selective perception, like a really long exhale, to signal safety to your brain, allowing the feeling to just sit there. And number 3, not every insight needs to be analyzed. To stop overanalyzing, try 3 physical grounding methods to release constant internal observation. Feel your feet firmly planted on the floor, locate 3 physical textures you can touch, and consciously drop your shoulders right away from your ears. Okay, heading into our final area, Section 6, softening awareness into acceptance.
You see, awareness without boundaries turns into suffering, but awareness with boundaries, that becomes true clarity. You can transform this heavy burden into profound clarity by adding daily check-in habits to physically soften tension. Do a quick jaw unclenching check at your desk, a midday shoulder drop, and a deep belly breathing reset before you commute home. You don't need to erase your incredible depth. You just need to let emotions move through you without fiercely interrogating them. To help build these boundaries, use these 2 journal questions to identify your personal safety triggers. Ask yourself, what am I actually trying to control right now? And is this a current threat or just an old echo from the past?
Moving from vigilant scanning to self-acceptance changes absolutely everything about your daily life. It shifts your whole experience from a constant threat assessment to a state of peaceful observation. When softened by acceptance, your awareness finally stops feeling like a harsh, interrogating spotlight, and it starts feeling like the comforting warmth it was always meant to be. I really want to validate the quiet weight you've carried for so long. You are allowed to set it down now.
So I want to leave you with this final provocative question to reflect on. When did you finally allow yourself to stop translating the room? Or, if you haven't yet, what is one small moment of non-emergency silence you can claim for yourself today? Thank you so much for joining me in this explainer. Keep practicing that gentle acceptance, and I'll catch you next time.